by anything or anyone.
But the universe, in my opinion, the universe always existed in one way, shape or form.
Yeah, it was always there means nothing brought into existence. It was just there.
Yeah.
So if something is always there, it should have its inherent internal properties and characteristics, right?
Yeah. Well.
Think about it. If it's there, the universe always there with no one bringing it into existence, it must have its own properties that nothing is giving and projecting onto it, because it's just there. If you are here, for example, and no one brought you into life, you would have your own properties and characteristics. You would have your own power. You would have your own properties, right? If the universe was always there, it must have what we call inherent properties, something that is within itself. What may be those properties?
Something powerful beyond
power or energy.
But we don't know exactly what it is. None of us know exactly what it is. I don't know exactly.
We're trying to understand that, right?
Understand, yeah.
Yeah. So it must possess energy or power, because without power and energy, no transformation can happen. All that change is happening. Changes. Any transformation to happen, you need energy for that transformation to do that act.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's simple physics. Any work that you're going to do, you has to have energy input because for transformation happening.
But then, one of Newton's laws is energy cannot be created nor destroyed. It can be transferred, dissipated. That's one of Newton's laws.
That law describes what? Closed system. It talks about in a closed system, the energy is something that's called maintained. You don't have any energy that creates or destroys. It's a net total energy is the same. Yeah. The universe was always there and possessed energy. Next question is, how does things transform from it? Is it conscious and does it have a will?
It can.
Because if it didn't have consciousness and will, then it cannot do anything. Imagine now this book, translation of the Qur'an. It has no consciousness, no will. It can't change this book from here to there, can it? It cannot will it to happen because it has no will. It doesn't have any consciousness. It doesn't know if it exists itself. That's what I mean by consciousness. It is not self-aware. So if something is not self-aware, it can't do things. Imagine I don't know whether I exist or not. So I can't do anything. I cannot make anything. I can't transform anything. The universe demonstrates, transformation happened. That means either the universe itself is conscious, has a will, that it wills something to happen, or the one who created the universe is conscious. So if you now say the universe is conscious and have a will, okay, so what is the reason the universe created us? What's the reason? Because if something is characterized with a will and consciousness, that itself is a personal agent already. So universe is powerful, it has a will, it has energy, and it does things, transform in a way, looks like it possesses a knowledge and wisdom. Because look at how we are gathered together, assembled together. So much knowledge is required to even make a robotic arm, that moves and behaves like that. And a human arm is much more complex than the robotic arms. Look at the human eyes. To even make a human eye as an artificial eye transplant, it's not even possible at this minute. That's why we want donors when they die to say, okay, fine, you know what, you can transplant that eye to someone else who needs it. We're not into that level of knowledge yet because it's so complex to make it. So if something is assembled, it requires so much complexity and knowledge of this transformation. So the universe has knowledge, wisdom, will, power. Now think about it now. All you're attributing to this universe is what we say about the originator of everything. We say this universe is a product, a creation of an originator, a creator who is conscious, self-aware, who has energy, power, who has will, who has wisdom. We describe this as a personal agent, a being we call the creator, because the universe is a creation of that creator. So in your thinking, you're describing the qualities of a creator, but you're only labeling it a creation itself, the universe itself. And yet the universe demonstrates the properties of a creator.
Yes, but who's to say that we know exactly what the creator is? We don't. But
it's easy.
Everyone has their own creator.
But it's easy to find out.
Everyone has their own opinion. All religions have their own opinion.
It's easy to find out. If the universe or the creator of our universe created us, must be for a purpose.
Yeah.
We don't just make something like this tripod for nothing.
Yeah.
There's a reason to it. It holds the camera in place. Yeah? Everything that you can see, there's a reason for it. Your shoes have a purpose, right?
Yeah, they have a purpose.
So we must have a purpose, and whoever or whatever made us knows what that purpose is. Isn't it fair and reasonable to ask the creator of us to tell us what the purpose is? Because you and I would not know what the purpose is. You and I would speculate, and our speculation will have different opinions and understanding, and we would not arrive on a mutual answer. Everyone will say, no, the reason I'm created by this creator is to be happy, is to, do whatever, X, Y, and Z. People will have different opinions, but that's not how, it may not be the reason why we are created. Just like somebody says, okay, what's the reason of your eyes? What's the purpose of your eyes? What is it there for? He says, my eyes is to hear. He will say, no, you can't decide that. Your eye is already set to acquire vision, to see. And you did not decide it. You did not decide the function of your heart to filter waste products like the kidneys does. Do you follow? Every part of our body is functional in a way that's designed and set for a design not by us.
But can't we not learn that from science, through evolution, from years and years of the Earth? The Earth, scientists predict the Earth was formed about 4.5 billion years ago.
Yeah.
So from years and years of evolution, from all these animals and organisms that came before us. Can we not? Can scientists can they not predict what's the purpose of?
Science deals with hows, not whys. That's the limitation of science. It doesn't deal with whys. Why does the universe exist? No. How the universe came about in its beginning singularity and so on and so forth, whether there was multiverses, science are working on that. But it's not the why question is dealing with. So it's a different, when we say areas of knowledge, you need to ask something else. Like, is science going to tell you who's the most lovable person? It's not a scientific question, right? You have to ask and find other ways of understanding and coming up to this truth. What means someone is more lovable? What means she's the most beautiful girl or woman, right?
It's not opinionated. That's opinionated. That's opinion.
No. Science, I'm saying science is not the tool. Science can tell you there's a lot of chemistry going on and a lot of chemical components that is released when you look at a woman, for example. That's all it describes that, but it cannot tell you that she is the most person that you should love and the love between yourself and so on and so forth, right? There's what we call, these are epistemic limits, or the limitation of a particular tool. So if you want to see yourself at the back and you have one mirror, it will be quite difficult. Yeah. That's the limitation of mirror. But if you have a mirror, there is another one, two, you can see yourself. Yeah. So you need another tool or additional tools to find out the reality of things. So coming back to the universe, or the creator of the universe, if we are created, it's only reasonable that the creator tells us why, because we will be at a loss to find out why. And the creator has indeed told us why we are created. The question is, how do we know that this message from the creator is indeed the message from the creator or not? You can say, oh, the universe who is conscious told us. I would say, okay, the creator of us told us. It's the same way you're thinking. The universe who is conscious, or the creator who is self-aware is telling us. So we need to establish by examining what this message from the creator is. Do you expect the creator to be racist?
No, not racist.
Yeah? Only tells the white people, this is why I created you, and leaves the brown people and the black people and the yellow people alone. Yeah? That will be racist. Exactly. So the creator will be fair and just to every people. So when we examine a message of this creator, like this book, the Qur'an, or any other book which claims from the creator, it should reflect that message of fairness and message of justice. The Qur'an says, stand firm as witnesses to the truth even if it goes against your own self, your own kith and kin, your own family, your relatives. But be a firm witness, speak the truth, testify the truth, even if it goes against you. Now, does that sound to be racist?
Don't sound to be racist.
That's exactly what we expect. The Creator, when He sends message in terms of how we interact with people, to let us know in terms of what exactly is the concept of fairness and justice. So Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said in his last sermon, there is no difference between a black people and a white people, or a black person and a white person. There is no difference between an Arab and a non-Arab. There is no difference between them. The only difference between them is in God consciousness, in piety, righteousness, is who is more aware of the duties and regulations of God and is trying all their best in their love and their reverence to God to follow those obligations, and also fearful of the punishment of God if they were to disobey God. Yeah? Taqwa. So that is what Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam of Islam describes. Does that sound to you that it seems to be a message you expect from the Creator?
Or it could be human consciousness, human experience, human consciousness, humans realizing that all humans are the same. We're all the same. We are all equal. I'm equal to you. We're all equal to each other. You don't treat your brother differently from another brother. We're all the same. You're judged on your actions, not who you are, not who you're born as. You're judged on your actions, whether you're a good person or not. That's why I think that someone should.
So why are people still racist?
Because they're ignorant, they're not educated. They're ignorant, or they don't understand. They're born in like in this country. Some white nationalists might be born in exclusive white areas where there's not many multiculturalism, and they judge. They base me and you on what they've heard from the media or what they've heard online. They judge people. They base them on stereotypes and all that.
What you're describing is a concept in Arabic called fitra, in which it's your natural disposition to know there's a Creator and to do all that is good from that understanding, right? It's a natural disposition. If you are left with someone without any brainwashing of society, social media, they would not become a racist. They would not worship a stone and so on. They would know there's a Creator, and this Creator was one and only. Quran tells us فَأَلْهَمَهَا فُجُورَهَا وَتَقْوَاهَا. God has, the Creator has inspired within us the good and the bad, the knowledge of the good and the bad. Yeah? And says قَدْ أَفْلَحَ مَنْ زَكَّاهَا وَقَدْ خَابَ مَنْ دَسَّاهَا. Successful are those who have purified it. And of course, the ones who are at loss are the ones who corrupt it. So the Quran is reminding you what you understand about the truth and the virtues of how things should be is actually what God also instilled within our human makeup. But it's the society, parents, environment, friends, all of these forces that modifies and reshapes one thinking. Do you know the reason why we have a problem of usury and interest today in banking system and countries are enslaved?
What do you mean? What do you mean, like interest? What?
Yeah, interest. Yeah. Because there's a particular religion in which it says
not allowed.
Don't give interest to each other, but the non-community of you, the goyims, give them interest, charge interest, and so on. Can this be from God? You can question it. How can it be? Because interest is what? Look, you want to make a house. You don't have £150,000. So you go to your friend there, and your friend says, oh, now I got you, vulnerable individual. Okay, I'll give you £150,000. You pay me £250,000. He charges you extra because he knows you have nowhere else to go. No one else will give you money, and you need a house. So he's exploiting your vulnerability, your weakness. He is being greedy. and he knows that... Hypothetically, brother, apologize, right? If someone did that, you would say, that doesn't seem to be kind. That doesn't seem to be fair and just. So interest in usury is exploitation. So if a religion tells you it's okay to give interest to someone else other than you, you're kind, whether your kind is black, white, Jewish, whatever, but we know where it's coming from. I told you already the word goyim, right? So you would say this cannot be a message from God. You would question it. Something somewhere along the line, the message got corrupted. It cannot be the original pristine message from God. That is how you would study the message which claims to be from God and see, once we apply those filters, how does it stand? So if a religious book, it's not the Qur'an says that, it says, you know what, the reason there is a rainbow in the sky is because God made a promise, a covenant, that you know what, I destroyed mankind once, and now I'm not going to do that again. So whenever next time I'm about to destroy mankind again, I look at the clouds, and when I look at the clouds and when I see the rainbow, it will remind me. It will remind me of the covenant or the promise that I make not to destroy mankind again wholesale. And it will stop him. Does God need reminding by a rainbow? But that's what a book says. It's in the Old Testament, the book of the Christians and the Jewish people. You would question it. How can this be the message from God? God is all knowledgeable, all wise, and he doesn't forget. He doesn't need reminding by a rainbow. But he has to see, the cloud. What was the cloud for? Not to destroy mankind again. You would say no. It cannot be the characteristics of God. So this is what I'm asking. You already know that there is a creator of this universe. How many creators are there? How many creators can there be? One. Because if there's more than one, there will be corruption and chaos and ruin. Conflict of interest. Yeah? That's what the Qur'an describes. لو كان فيهما آلهة إلا الله لفسدتا. Had there been more than one God, there will be corruption and chaos. Subhanallah, amma yashrikun, amma yasifun. Many ayat like this in the Qur'an. So what Qur'an says, it gives you critical thinking ability and tells you, use your intellect. It says, أَفَلَا تَعْقِلُونَ أَفَلَا يَعْقِلُونَ. Why don't you use your aql, your intellect? Now imagine a book which wants you to believe in God. It tells you to use your intellect. Now, is this religion scared of your brain power, your analytical thinking, your critical thinking? It encourages you. It reprimands you if you don't use it.
That will lead me to...
It reprimands you. It says, what are you? Are you like cattle that you don't think and you don't ponder and you don't reflect? But there are other people who comes with a belief system and tells you, just believe, don't question it. There are many belief systems like that. So what I'm asking is, because you know there is a creator, there has to be a creator who has self-awareness, who has will, who has knowledge, who created us, and who will guide us to what is best and just and fair. It's not going to leave us alone in our misery, in our wandering ways with erroneous living. Will guide us to what is the true way of living, fulfilling the purpose of our life. What you need to do is look at the claims of those books which says it's from the creator. Qur'an indeed claims it. ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ هُدًى لِلْمُتَّقِينَ. That is indeed that book in which there is no doubt whatsoever, a guidance for those who are muttaqun, the God-conscious, righteous, pious people who are aware of God, His obligations and His punishments, and therefore fearful of His punishment. Yeah, they love God, to worship Him with all their love, and they also are afraid of His punishment if they make an error and the mistake and sin and so on. That is the state of being that God wants us to be in. So the Qur'an claims Tanzilun min Allah. This book is a revelation from God. Well, anyone can claim that. Any book can claim it's from God. So you should ask, and I should ask, okay, what evidence do you have to provide to me that it's from God? Now that's critical thinking. That's being intellectual and asking, Tom, Dick and Harry, anyone can come and say, I'm a prophet, and bring a book and say it's from God. So we need to know evidence which is given and provided that this book is indeed from God. Any book that comes along, you can ask us. The Qur'an provides lots and lots of evidence for its divine origin. Not only that, it provides falsification tests in bonus. Not only providing positive proof, at the same time it offers you how to falsify it that it's not from God. Now that's making life easier. If the book says this is how you can confirm it's not from God. Now if a book makes some mistakes in historical details, God is all knowledgeable. Creator is all knowledgeable. He's not going to make a mistake in history and say, you know what? You'd say a book that makes historical mistakes cannot be from God. A book that describes natural phenomena and gets it wrong cannot be from God. A book that prophesies something to happen in future and gets it wrong cannot be from God, because God is aware of the future. He's knowledgeable of the future. Yeah. A book that contains contradictions, as you said earlier on, errors and discrepancies, it cannot be from God, because God doesn't contradict himself. If he reveals a book to you, it will be consistent. So any book that you examine using those falsification criteria, is it free from contradiction? Is there false prophecy? Is it describing things within natural phenomena and so on and so forth and gets it wrong? It cannot be from God. Quran offers that opportunity and challenge. Not only that, Quran even makes it even easy. It says, look, the Quran is composed in letters and words. Letters and words. And sentences, of course. If you think it's not from God, produce a book like it. Wait, you can't do a whole book? Produce 10 chapters like it. You can't do 10 chapters? No problem. One chapter like the Quran. What is the shortest chapter in the Quran? How many lines? How many ayat? Three. Only 3 ayat or 3 lines. And the Quran is saying, bring a chapter like unto this Quran. If you are doubtful that it's from a revelation from God to his prophet and messenger, his servant Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I mean, what an opportunity. Instead of fighting battles, the Arabs, who were masters in their language and literature and their poetry, they would have simply produced a chapter and destroyed Islam just like that.
No, not that one. You were saying that.
Because they knew Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was a man who brought up in front of their eyes as a child, and he grew up, and they knew he was illiterate. He was
literate.
Looking up illiterate meanings he has not gone to school and
he couldn't read or write.
He couldn't read and write. He was herding sheep. At one point, he was appointed to do business, and at that time, people could, in their memory, do calculations. You don't need people to be numerate or literate, but they can just calculate numbers. Yeah. Even today, where I work, some people, parents, when they come with their children, I work in a hospital. They can't read, but if you tell them, okay, 5 mils is 5, because when it comes to money, that's £5, that's £10, that's £50. They can understand, okay? Even though they can read the writings, the various ways of counting. You can be numerate like that. Prophet Muhammad was known by his community that he wasn't a literate individual who could read or write. So when he brought the Qur'an to them and he recited the Qur'an, for them it would have been much easier to say, okay, I can bring something like it, or you just got it from us, I can bring something better. What was their response? They said like this, what have you brought? This is like magic. Because they couldn't bring, rap songs, rap artists. How does rap artists work? How do rap battle work?
You say one thing, you say one thing, I say the next thing, and you go back and forth.
So when you say one thing in a particular rhyme and rhythm and meter, I say something like this, right? I'm not going to simply say in prose. That wouldn't be a rap battle. I wouldn't be rapping, would it? Arabs at that time, they were writing and composing poetry, and they were competing with each other like that. Who can answer back in response and make it better and so on and so forth. When the Qur'an came to them, it was unlike any of the type of poetry. They couldn't match when the Qur'an challenged them. If you're really doubtful that it's not from God, produce something like it. They couldn't imitate it. They simply could not make something like it because the composition, the way the Qur'an was composed, even though it was so eloquent, standards of eloquence, but the format of the composition, the stylistics, was unlike their stylistics that they use in their poetry, in their speech, and so on and so forth. So the Qur'an offered them a falsification test, and they couldn't do it. And that test, you can say, still valid today, even though people are less capable of doing it now, because they are less and less knowledgeable about the pristine, pure Arabic form. But yet, they can try. And they tried and they failed. They try and they fail. I was just asking the same question yesterday, and some people said, okay, well, there you go. This is how we've made it. I simply asked. I'm still waiting for them. Okay, which surah is this imitating? And what are the stylistics it is using to compare? Silence. Still no silence. They come something like this. Inna a'tayna kal-whiskey.
You don't want to speak out of just...
Safiyan. It's like this. No, it says this. Fashrib.
That's what I said.
It says fashrib. And it goes like this. La tukhlituhu or tukhlituhu, because they don't say that. Bil Pepsi. Okay. Safiyan la tukhlituhu bil Pepsi. Okay. I'm just paraphrasing what I can remember. So they think that they've just made something. What are they imitating? What are the stylistics they're using? This is the level of intellectual bankruptcy. There's another one. Subhanallah, they say, okay, like Al-Fahisha. ما الفاحشة وما أدراك ما الفاحشة أن تزوج طفل طائشة and says عمرها is it 9 سنوات واسمها عائشة. They think just making musical points to it at the end, it makes a rhyme, it challenges the Qur'an and imitates the Qur'an. What they don't realize, the Qur'an linguistic genre is, if it's imitating, say, Surah Al-Kawthar, like the one previously, the word Al-Kawthar, it is something that is so comprehensive in its meaning. Yeah? It's coming from the word kathir, kathra, rooted in the Arabic language, but the Arabs never had a word called Al-Kawthar. It's a new word that the Qur'an introduced with the root words from the Arabic language. Al-whiskey is a word which is not of the Arabic origin, so it is not from the Arabic roots, number one. Secondly, it is a specific type of alcoholic drink. It is not like Al-Kawthar, where even to this day the commentators will say, what exactly Al-Kawthar? So comprehensive in its meaning, even the one word. Al-whiskey is just one narrow type. It doesn't mean it's beer. It doesn't mean it's what are the gin and all the other things, right? So even on the very first example, the first line, Inna a'tainaka al-whiskey, right? Inna a'tainaka is a plagiarism of the Qur'an. You could have used something else. Plagiarism, and it failed within the first attempt, the first line. Right? So the Qur'an offers, my friend Pierce, falsification tests. Falsification tests to falsify the Qur'an if people have doubt. People often say, look, the Qur'an you're talking about, I mean, what's the proof? Here is what the Qur'an is offering. First, the Qur'an says, قُلْ لَإِنِ اجْتَمَعَتِ الْإِنسُ وَالْجِنُّ عَلَى إِفْطَرَةٍ. Come on, brother Shish. Yeah, I know. بمثل هذا القرآن لا يأتون بمثله ولو كان بعضهم لبعضهم ظاهرا. Okay? Say, if the humans and the jinns were to gather together, a combined effort, to make something, to bring something, to forge something, to bring about a Qur'an, like this Qur'an, لا يأتون بمثله, they will never bring something like it, even if they back with each other, with support and so on and so forth. Even if they did so. That's the assertion the Qur'an makes. If this book is from Qur'an, you cannot make anything similar to it. It didn't stop there. It says, continues by saying, if you're in doubt and you're skeptic that it's from God, revealed to his final prophet, his servant Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, then produce a chapter like into it. It gives you a falsification test. It asserted first, okay, Qur'an is from God, no one can make it. If you don't want to accept it, why? Because you have doubt? Okay, here's how you can falsify it. So Qur'an offers a reasonable, a rational falsification test to the skeptics. Anyone who's skeptic about the origin of the Qur'an says falsify it, because you're skeptical. Falsify it. If you cannot falsify it, why can you not falsify it? Because any composition, any human composition can be imitated. Shakespeare can be imitated. Beethoven can be imitated. It is not something, a literature that is something like it's so unique that you cannot compose. Even ChatGPT can imitate plays of Shakespeare or his poems. Yeah, of course. And I tried also ChatGPT to imitate Shakespeare's poems and his short play, and it did it, right? You can imitate the styles of a particular author, right? That's why even New Testament authors, New Testament critics, they were struggling to find out whether that letter was from Paul or not, genuine or not, because he was imitating the styles of Paul. Yeah? You have to really go deep, find out whether it is indeed Paul's letter or not. It depends on whether that person was a good imitator or not. But some people can imitate the style. Yeah? Can. Anything human. Let me give you an example. I am a architect, and I say, you know what? I have a building. Make a building like it. You are an architect. You are an architect, you're an architect, you are all architects. You would say, I'm a professional architect, I'm a builder, I can make it. Like, what's so difficult? Why would it be difficult? Why would it be difficult? Then I give you my building. Here's my building. Look at my building. On close inspection, you see my building is made up of bricks. But each brick is floating in space and not touching the other brick. Every single brick is floating. There's no connection with each other. Would you be able to make my building? Or make a building like that?
No, I wouldn't. No.
You wouldn't be able to. The Qur'an is challenging likewise. It's a book composed with letters and words. Letters and words. Alif Lam Mim, Yasin, Taha, Qaf. The Qur'an tells you these are letters of the Qur'an. Tilka ayat kitab al-mubin. These are the signs of a clear book. So the Qur'an tells you, this is a book composed in your own language, Arabic letters. Oh, Arabs. Why is it difficult for you to compose it? Imitate like it. Yeah? Imitate like it. So the fact that the Arabs failed then, and people are failing today, it's an open testimony that the Qur'an has to be dealt with seriously if you don't believe it's from God. Because the Qur'an is ever going to come to you and always make you question, if it's not from God, why is it not imitable? Why is it not imitable? But the fact that the Qur'an says it's from God and you cannot imitate it, you have to then seriously question, why am I not accepting this book from God? This book describes natural phenomena in a way you would know that it's impossible for people to have described back then. Shall I give you an example? Yeah, Pierce. Do you see the stars now?
Yeah, well, no, not right now, but at night.
Night, see right. This one there, the sun?
The sun, yeah.
Yeah, what sound is making?
Sound?
Yeah.
We don't know until we.
Can you hear it?
Well, we as human beings we can't. NASA could.
Oh, forget NASA. You can you hear it?
No, we can't.
I can't hear the sound. There are many other stars. They actually make sounds. We call them pulsars, pulsating stars. Do you know how they sound like? Is it meow meow?
No.
Is it woof woof? Okay. What if somebody were to guess? Is it possible to guess what it sounds like?
Will it be vibration or something?
Yeah. But without the scientific tools of today, would you be able to hear the sound? No. The Qur'an describes the sounds of a bright piercing star. And Najm al-Thaqib. It calls this a-Tariq. It's not in there, brother. It's not in there. It calls it, you can have it. It's not in there, but this is another example. It describes it a-Tariq. The knocker. Do you know the pulsar? How it sounds like? The frequencies? You can hear it now. They have recorded it. How did the Qur'an, 1444 years ago, know how the stars sounds like? Talking about stars, the star you look at night sky, when you look at it, it's there, right? Actually, it's not there. When you look at it, it's not there.
Because light, because of the way time, like when you look at a star, like the speed of light is very fast. So like you're looking at a star like millions of years ago, looking at it in the past.
Exactly.
You're looking at it in the past because the way space and time travel works is light travels much faster than like normal time.
But what you're describing is the star you're looking at the position of that star.
Yeah.
That star at one point, when the light was coming from it to you, it was there. But it's not there anymore because it's moved away.
Yeah.
Hundreds and thousands and perhaps millions of years ago, it's moved away. It's no longer there. What you're only seeing is the position of the star. People didn't realize and appreciate this. Yeah? The Qur'an says, لا أقسم بمواقع النجوم. God says there's no, it's in ways a form of oath by the position of the stars. It says it is a great oath. لقسم الله تعلمون عظيم. Why is the creator, the author of this book saying by the position of the stars? Because the star that you see is not there. You only see its position. Only the position. So someone who is unlettered in Arabia describing phenomenon of astrophysics, describing of that nature where science, scientific advancements and technology is required, and we say he just guessed it or he just made it up. He says, I don't know anything of myself. What I speak is an inspiration. وَمَا يَنطِقُ عَنِ الْهَوَىٰ إِنْ هُوَ إِلَّا وَحْيٌ يُوحَىٰ. He does not speak of his own desires. It is only an inspiration that is sent to him. Revelation, inspiration. So Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was given this Qur'an as a revelation. That's why he's telling you all of this. So he's giving you information about this natural world so that we can appreciate the evidence that is from God. The Qur'an talks about the universe is expanding, but it doesn't stop there. It says it will be rolled back like a scroll. We know for sure the universe is expanding. That's what physics and science have established. But science and physics are questioning now, is it going to expand forever or is it going to actually contract back again? Rolling back. If it's something like a scroll and just rolls back again. Science are actually now talking about this today. At one point, scientists, philosophers thought the universe was always there, static universe. That view got changed by the discovery, scientific advancements, the redshift, Hubble telescope, cosmic background radiation.
The Big Bang Theory.
Yeah. So now we know the universe wasn't as it is, it's expanding. But the Qur'an offers you one step more. And it's telling you it's not going to expand forever, it's going to contract back. When the scientists establish that is what's going to happen, it will be Muslims saying, look, How did the Qur'an know this? Because today I can only share with you because science is still learning about it, still questioning and debating. But one point in the future, this is our belief, science will say this is exactly what's going to happen. And when they hear this from the Qur'an and Muslims say, this is what the Qur'an is saying, you need to now explain how does the Qur'an know this? This is the nature of the Qur'an. In every generation, every time, like now today, we can offer you something that you will say, it's amazing. How does the Qur'an know? These information that we are describing now by the knocking sound of the pulsars wasn't known to the Muslims or to anyone else. But they knew the Qur'an is describing a star with a knocking sound. But what are they saying? It's just a description. Now we appreciate it. In the future, there will be more and more from the Qur'an. And people will realize and appreciate more. Each epoch, each time frame, the Qur'an will offer its own fresh evidence. سنريهم آياتنا في الآفاق وفي أنفسهم حتى يتبين لهم أنه الحق. God says, soon we shall show them. We shall show them our signs in the horizons and within themselves until it becomes clear to them that this is the truth. This will happen throughout human journey in their existence. Qur'an will offer evidence for its divine origin. So all you need to ask here, my friend, if the Qur'an demonstrates to us it is from God, describe God perfectly, that I expect it to be all knowledgeable, all wise, all just, what is stopping you from accepting it? Because you know God has created you. When I say God, a being that deserves our utmost reverence, respect, gratitude. That's worship. Yeah? When someone helps you, does a favor to you, you say what? Thank you. When the Creator gave you life and the means to sustain your life, all the provisions and everything, we should be thankful and grateful. That response of our gratitude is our worship. So we say worshipping God, right? So why shouldn't we worship Allah, our God, our Creator, who is demonstrated in the Qur'an that it is Him who is worthy of worship? Not a God that comes and dies and gets beaten up. Not a God who doesn't know. Not a God, I'm talking about the concepts of God. People believe God as a man, as a woman, as a tree, as a thunder. People have this kind of belief system about God. You would know, Pierce, this is not the correct concept of God. The correct concept of God, in which God is something that befits His reality. This whole universe will be contingent or dependent on the Creator, and this Creator or God will be independent, self-sufficient. The Qur'an describes Him to be as-Samad, al-Ghani. He is self-sufficient, He is independent. And He's described as Ahad, Wahid, Qul huwa Allahu Ahad. Say, Allah, God is Ahad, one, unique. Has to be one. There has to be only one Creator, one God. Allahu Samad, that He is eternal, absolute, independent, self-sufficient. Well, has to be Lam yalid wa lam yulad, that He is not born, doesn't produce any children or offspring. He has no parents and no offspring. وَلَمْ يَكُنْ لَهُ كُفُوًا أَحَدٍ. And there is none like unto Him in whatsoever shape or form. No comparison, no co-equal. Does that make sense? That's exactly what the Qur'an describes about God, and says, why do you not submit to Allah? Why are you not accepting it? Allah, because Allah is the one who's coming to you and telling you, this is me. This is the one, I am the one who revealed this Qur'an for your guidance, to take you out of your misery and your misguidance in this world that I created you for a purpose. So the Qur'an offers you, yes, my friend, that certainty of guidance that you in your heart seek as an agnostic. Remember you said you're an agnostic, you're not sure? That is how we can be sure. When someone says, look, I met you on Sunday, and you were saying this X, Y, and Z, and so on. It's not just imagine you write. Okay, I want to set this simple. Imagine you find a piece of paper in Brighton Beach when you visited, and it tells you, "Hi, Piers. It was a pleasure speaking to you. Speaker's Corner, Sunday, the 16th of April 2023. We met, we talked about the Qur'an, we talked about a lot of things, we described about the piercing star, the knocking sound, and so on and so forth. You know, I was wearing the hat which had the logo of DawahWise, right? It was very pleasure meeting you and speaking to you, engaging with you, understanding your agnosticism and breaking it down. Here's my number, and 07XYZ. Would you say that piece of paper was written by wind and dust out of chance and it just happened to be? Or would you say that was the person that I spoke? Yeah, that's the level of details. This level of details gives us certainty about the author of this piece of paper. The Qur'an gives you details after details to give you certainty about the author of this Qur'an, so that you have certainty that Allah is the author of this Qur'an, that Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the messenger that Allah sent the Qur'an with. Ask yourself this: what is it that you do need extra in addition to accept Qur'an to be the divine guidance?
I do my own research, my own reading. I do my own reading. This is a long book. You give me only a few facts,
correct,
a few things. But it's a long book. I have to do my own reading and my own.
Read and research. What else do you need us to clarify to you?
Nothing else. I can do my own reading and research. When I do my own reading and research, I'll come to conclusion. But until then, yeah.
All the best.
Good to speak to you, my brother.
It was a pleasure speaking to you.
I've watched YouTube videos here with Ali Dawah, Muhammad Hijab. Yeah, I watched those YouTube videos in Speaker's Corner before. But yeah, it's a pleasure speaking to you.
You too.
Yeah,
take care, my friend.
Take care.
And carry on with your investigation.
Yeah,
you have a sincere heart. You know, you have the love for the truth, and Allah will guide you. I just a parting share. I want to share with what the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam explained how Allah deals with our approach. He said, look, if you go to Allah walking, if you take one step, He will take you many steps. If you come to like a handspan, He will come to you like an arm span. If you come to handspan, He comes to you like dari, two arm spans. If you come to Him walking, He will come to you like running, telling you that God is looking at your sincerity, and He will be even more open to guide you. He's more willing to guide you because you are willing. You take one step, He takes 10 steps to guide you. That is Allah. So don't despair that God is not going to guide me. All you need to do is be sincere and amend yourself from doing sinful actions, which you know in your heart some of them are sinful. Lying, killing, cheating, robbing, and so on and so forth. Yeah? Our heart needs purifying to receive guidance. Sincerity is the key. Okay? Take care. All the best.
All the best. All the best.
Okay? Take care.
Take care, man.
وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين. السلام عليكم.